Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
A new cabinet being formed in the Cayman Islands. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Tuesday, May 13. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. Cabinet assignments are being discussed in the Cayman Islands. Now a decision has been made on the composition of a coalition government that includes winning election candidates from both political parties as well as independents. The new unity government will comprise 7 Progressive People's Movement, that's the PPM candidates, the 3 from the Cayman Democratic Party, that's the CDP, and 3 of the 9 independents, giving the coalition 13 seats in the 19-seat Legislative Assembly. This is the 4th and expected to be the last deal after almost a week of negotiations following last Wednesday's election. PPM leader Alden McLaughlin, who returns as Premier with CDP leader Makiva Bush as Speaker of the House, said he has the full support of his team for the coalition. We get more from Cayman 27.
He says he is pleased with the government he has formed as it reflects the will of the people. As for its longevity, given the events of Friday when Mr. Bush pulled out of the first deal.
You cannot guarantee that the government is going to hold and be intact at the end. There are all sorts of issues and pressures that come to bear over the course of a term. But I believe this government has as good a chance as any to not only just hold together, but to achieve what is in the best interest of the Cayman Islands over the course of the term.
Now all eyes will turn to the LA for the swearing in of the new administration and MLAs. News of the alliance did not come as a surprise to Bordentown West Independent Chris Saunders.
It saddened me from a democratic standpoint, where people voted for change, and instead both leaders of both political parties decided to just come together to usurp the will of the people, and just for their own grasp of power. And that is disappointing, but those are the things we know existed, and that's one of the reasons I ran in the first place.
He says the remaining independents will continue their discussions to nominate an opposition leader. The most likely candidate is East End MLA Arden McLean.
Barbados' Finance Minister Chris Sinclair is expected to announce a number of measures on Tuesday evening to reduce the island's fiscal deficit and shore up dwindling foreign exchange reserves. He is at this moment delivering the 2017-2018 budget in Parliament. The presentation of the fiscal package comes amid concern both in the public and private sectors about the state of the economy and fears that the Barbados dollar is headed towards devaluation. In March, Sinclair told Parliament that government is aiming to reduce the fiscal deficit to 2.5% of gross domestic product. Foreign exchange reserves have also fallen to below the recommended levels, and Sinclair told the House that at the end of March, international reserves stood at $705 million. He also reported to Parliament on Tuesday that despite the current challenges, the economy has realized its 3rd year of economic growth.
From a position of negative growth of 4.7% and a fiscal deficit of close to 12% of GDP at the height of the recessionary conditions, government has been able to oversee a return to positive growth of about 1.2% on average for the past 2 years, while our fiscal deficit has been shaved to an average of 7% in the same period. Sir, may we consider that even in most advanced industrialized economies, economic growth has not averaged more than that. In fact, in most instances, it has been below 1%. And according to the IMF Global Report, generally under that figure, we begin to realize just how difficult global and national conditions have really been. What we do know, however, and must frankly admit, is that while for some other countries such figures might be enough to get them through, particularly in the industrialized economies, given the structure of our economy and society, such numbers are inadequate to permit us to continue to support the quality of life that we have become accustomed to.
Sinclair reported that the tourism industry recorded the largest growth of 4.8%, followed by non-sugar agriculture production, which grew by 1.5%. Over in Trinidad and Tobago, a former trade minister says changes need to be made to the country's National Insurance Board to avoid bankruptcy. Mariano Brown warns that if nothing is put in place soon to preserve pensions, the board will be in crisis. Jesse Ramdio of CNC3 News has more.
The aging population has caused the cost of the national insurance system to be severely strained in recent times. The 2016 subsidy of $1.6 billion underscored the looming threat facing the board. Brown says more needs to be done swiftly to avert bankruptcy.
Let's put it this way, that the current situation is that the contributions are not sufficient at the moment to pay pensions in service. So at the moment they're dipping into the investment income, and it's projected that if they continue at the current rate, that by 2030 the fund could well be bankrupt. So that they require some amendments, some changes that have to be done virtually immediately.
According to Brown, the issues facing the NIB is not unique to this country.
We're in the same position as Britain, Japan, with exactly the same issues. Longer life expectancies, which means that the fund is in trouble because it's a pension literally for life. So that if you have the number of people who are working and therefore paying into the system is falling, then you have significant issues. The fund will not be able to stand on its own.
Finance Minister Com Imbert pledged that the government will support reforms to protect the national insurance system, and according to Brown, it is through policy reforms can the viability of the pension schemes be preserved.
There's no immediate solution, but there are a number of policy options which have to be faced. One of them, for example, is immigration. And I know at least one politician has said on the hustings that he's not prepared to entertain that thought at all. Quite apart from the fact that we have had involuntary immigration. The point is we need to frame it in some context, in some sort of policy approach.
The former trade minister is advising that the conversations surrounding the NIB change to one that is progressive and solution-oriented.
Human rights lobby group Jamaicans for Justice, that's the JFJ, have expressed alarm that 64 civilians have been killed by police up to May 25th, and that's a 45% increase over the corresponding period last year. The JFJ is particularly worried by the fact that a third of those civilians did not have any weapons on them when they were fatally shot. The group's spokesperson, Susan Goff, says the increase raises serious questions about whether lawmen adhere to police use of force policy. Speaking to RGR News, she called on the Jamaica Constabulary Force to review that policy.
Have also, over an extended period, indicated that there needs to be ongoing and continued training in methods that, again, reduce the likelihood of the need for lethal force. I think that when the existing use of force policy is considered, that the following of that policy that currently exists could indeed lead to a reduction in the numbers of fatal shootings.
Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, food prices in Jamaica go up as a result of the impact of flooding on the agriculture sector. Stay tuned, there's more news after the break.
Beautiful Barbados and 4D Entertainment welcome you to the Flow Soca on the Hill, Sunday, July 23rd, 2017, where the mega stars of Crop Over 2017 assemble with the Caribbean Band, Patrice, Skinny Fabulous, Ricky T, Orlando Octave, and Ultimate Rejects to bring you the world's greatest soca party, the Flow Soca on the Hill. Let's gather the people.
Ready. It's another episode when we out on the road. This is what we love to celebrate, to celebrate. This is not Hollywood. No, we don't come out the road. Drink, drink, drink. King Baba and the kids every fact that I boy keep on calling me wrong name. But that's okay, cause that's my babe. I don't understand how wearing a name tag on me. Don't know what to say, so calling me wrong name. Don't get vexed with me. Don't say that.
Chatting CARICOM, a 4-part series on the status of the regional integration process. Your chance to get answers.
We as a small island, how do we factor into that bigger picture?
Why is the process taking so long?
While there is liberty to move among the islands, you still have some level of restriction.
Chatting CARICOM also gives you updates on recent CARICOM projects.
We're seeking more and more to engage all our partners in moving forward for the development of our region.
We have come a very long way since we started.
Join the Caribbean community and CaribVision for Chatting CARICOM, a community for all. May 31st at 8 p.m.
Ravenel's Resort and Conference Center is the mecca of conferences in the island of Tobago. The state-of-the-art facility caters to executive forums, weddings, banquets, training, elegant dining, and tranquil accommodations. Guests at Ravenel's Resort can choose from self-catering, standard, deluxe, and executive rooms. Sit at the poolside and savor the ambience of nature, or enjoy a sumptuous meal on the terrace and inside a Bouvardia restaurant. Let's go to Ravenel's Resort and Conference Center, the tranquil Caribbean Resort. Call 868-639-9666 or visit our website at www.ravenelsresorttobago.com.
Jamaicans are now paying more for some food as a result of the damage done to the agriculture sector in recent flooding. While consumers are not happy with the price increases, vendors say it is understandable why farmers raised their prices. And even though most of the produce is now more expensive, some crops are cheaper. We go to TVJ's Vashan Brown for this report.
Recent floodwaters in central Jamaica significantly affected some farmers, and because of that, vendors say those farmers have hiked the price of some items. So vendors say they have no choice but to ask consumers to pay more.
When the rain falls because of the flood, they have to reap the carrot, okay? So they keep going down. They get more carrot now than other time. Now you're getting more sweet potato than the other day. So you realize they keep going down. Now because of the flood, tomato rotten. So because they're rotten, they keep going up. So whatever the rain destroy, they keep going up. Cabbage is going up because they are rotting in the ground. So they have to try and reap it. So it's going up because they're getting less cabbage now.
In the case of Irish potato, before the floods, it used to cost $30 per pound. Now vendors say it is being sold for $50 per pound.
Tomato going up, it was for $30, now it's for $50. Cabbage was for $30, now it's for $50 also.
Carrot, however, is down from $120 to roughly $100 per pound.
Now take, for instance, scallion. The price has increased significantly. Now the vendors here at Coronation Market say it used to be sold for $70. Now it's being sold for $250. But the recent flood is not the only contributing factor.
The worms were there before destroying the crop. The worm, whatever, it was a sign of disaster coming up. So I think the worm were migrating to elsewhere. So the worm eat down the scallion first, destroy it, and then the flood come and finish it. So it's just what left up for the farmers to survive off. So right now it's a survival process we're in now, our mode.
Some consumers believe scallion is just too expensive.
I left it because I buy what I can buy now. What's expensive, I leave it alone. I don't have to buy it, I leave it. If I used to buy a pound, I buy half pound. Yeah. So it not really make it bother me.
Meanwhile, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Donovan Stanberry, said he's not surprised that vendors have increased their prices.
Given the extent of the bad weather, the rains, and the attendant loss of production. So that is not at all surprising. But we are satisfied, based on our assessment and interaction with farmers, that most of them have in fact taken measures to restart production. And of course, the ministry support those efforts through our production incentive program. And so we expect within 6 weeks to 3 months for production levels to be restored.
The private sector in Guyana has called on the government to hold back on plans to scale down operations at the state-owned sugar company Gaisuco. It says it stands ready to place its experience at the disposal of the David Granger administration and work with the government to explore other options. The Private Sector Commission, that's the PSC, says while it recognizes that Gaisuco has reported financial losses and has become dependent on subventions, the government should also take into account the impact the scaling down could have on the country. It said more than 10 billion Guyana dollars would be removed from private employment income, and it warned that would have a direct negative effect on consumer spending. But the private sector body says the problems won't stop there. The PSC said a decline in consumer spending would have negative spin-off effects for the economy as a whole. The private sector's warning comes on the heels of opposition leader Barra Jagdeo urging sugar workers to protest the government's move to shut down some sugar factories, warning that at least 10,000 workers would be put on the breadline. The Guyana Agricultural and General Workers Union is also urging sugar workers to stand united as they continue to hold several protest actions in an effort to pressure government to reverse its decision. Stay with us. There's more news after this break.
Beautiful Barbados and 4D Entertainment welcome you to the Flow Soca on the Hill, Sunday, July 23rd, 2017, where the mega stars of Crop Over 2017 assemble with the Caribbean Fest, Patrice, Skinny Fabulous, Ricky T, Orlando Octave, and Ultimate Rejects to bring you the world's greatest soca party, the Flow Soca on the Hill. Let's gather the people.
Ready. It's another episode. Then be out on the road. This is what we love to celebrate, to celebrate. This is not Hollywood. No, we don't come out the road. Drink, drink, drink.
King Baba and the guitar. Every fact that I go, you keep on calling me wrong name. But that's okay, cause that's my bitch. I don't understand how wearing a name tag on me. You know what to say, you still calling me wrong name.
Don't get vexed with me. Don't say that.
Welcome to SwiftPack, your online shopping and shipping solution. Receive the best rates, expert cargo management, and exceptional customer service. SwiftPack provides secure handling of your smallest packages to your largest cargo with speed and reliability. We invite you to use our U.S. mailbox service, online shopping, ship air and ocean cargo from the supplier to your door. We handle it all for you. Get started now. Sign up for a free regular account or premium account, or give us a call on 440-6100. SwiftPack. You shop, we ship, you save.
Off-spinner Sunil Narayan remained the highest-ranked West Indies bowler in the latest ICC player rankings as South Africa's seamer Kagiso Rabada became the youngest player in nearly 2 decades to claim the #1 spot. In the rankings released Tuesday, Trinidadian Narayan dropped 1 place to 4th and is still the only West Indies bowler in the top 10. The 29-year-old has not played for West Indies since the 3-match one-day series against Pakistan in the United Arab Emirates last October and was with West Indies failing to qualify for the Champions Trophy, his rankings is expected to fall further. He missed the ODI series against England in March and against Pakistan last month after failing to meet the eligibility requirement of making himself available for the regional Super 50 domestic limited overs tournament. One-day captain Jason Holder is the other West Indies player in the top 20, dropping one place to 17th in the latest rankings. He and Narayan are the only two Windies players in the top 50. Trinidad and Tobago is one step away from landing a final spot in the Rugby Caribbean Championships. This after they trounced Barbados 36-16 over the weekend. TV6's Vinod Nawani has that story.
The team started their Rugby Americas North Caribbean Championships on a high against Barbados at the Maniram John Stadium on Saturday. That didn't mean that the men in blue were going to be humiliated by the Twin Island nation. After all, Barbados also executed their moves successfully at times. But there was no doubt that the men in red, white and black colours dominated this contest. The last time that this country won the regional championship was in 2015, and moves such as this can only help boost their chances. TNT's imperious display against their opponents put them in a commanding position. They next faced Guyana in Georgetown on June 10th. The home side went on to win 36-16 with a hat-trick of tries from Jamal Stewart. If TNT beat Guyana in the South Pool, they will meet the winners of the North Pool in July's final.
Well, furious over the Sunshine Girls' subpar performance against Barbados recently, international star Janielle Fowler-Reid has called for changes to the coaching setup, and we're talking netball. She's hinting that current head coach Jermaine Allison McCracken lacks the experience necessary to take the side forward. In an article in the Jamaica Gleaner newspaper, Fowler-Reid, who was one of several experienced players who missed the three-match series because of overseas professional playing commitments, said she was disappointed by the loss. She said the overseas players would be asking for a meeting with Netball Jamaica President Dr. Paula Daly Morris on their return home. The Sunshine Girls, ranked 4th in the world, lost to 12th ranked Barbados for the first time in 33 years a week ago to draw the series 1-1 after the opener finished in a 44-44 tie. With the campaign wrapping up at the end of June, Fowler-Reid said she would be available for Jamaica's outing at the Caribbean Championships, but said changes had to be made to avoid a repeat of what happened against Barbados. Staying with the sport, the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies crushed the UWI Caveville by 84 goals to 12 in the inter-campus games on Monday. CBC's Anne-Marie Burke took in the action in Barbados and filed this report.
Games commencing at 10, we start with the game on court number 2. UWI Mona in the red and white up against St. Augustine. And Mona dominated from the start here. Tristina Harewood nets for Mona. St. Augustine was fortunate enough to grab an early point from goal shooter Glenida Edwards, who got 3 from 7. But it was Mona who dominated the entire proceeding. Shamira Nelson here easily converting. St. Augustine was clearly outplayed as Mona kept pressing on the attack. Nelson bags another point. For Mona, it was an introductory course on how to score goals, and Nelson definitely got an A+, converting another in quick time. Harewood gets back into the action after the foul as she had an almost perfect record, netting 21 from 22 attempts. Mona entered into halftime with a massive margin, 42-7, but they kept their foot on the accelerator. Nelson adds another goal. Mona's star of the day, Nelson, with a conversion rate of over 90%, collected 57 from her 62 attempts. Mona eventually took the victory 84-12, totally destroying St. Augustine by a 72-goal margin.
And finally, the Queen's Baton left Trinidad and Tobago on Tuesday after 3 days of being displayed there. The Baton signals the countdown to the 2018 Commonwealth Games in Australia. Trinidad and Tobago made its debut at what was then the London 1934 British Empire Games and won its first medals in Vancouver almost 10 years later. Nasira Mohammed of Sea Sports tracked the passage of the baton and filed this report.
At this time, permit me to declare the Trinidad and Tobago leg of the Queen's Baton Relay underway.
Roger Gibbon was joined by a host of national athletes, including boxers, many of whom are hoping to be in the national contingent to the Games next year in Australia. Starting off the relay was the wife of the President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Her Excellency Mrs. Rima Carmona, who took the baton around the Queen's Park Savannah.
At the Queen's Park Savannah, opposite
Roger Daniel, a Commonwealth Games veteran in the sport of shooting, then took over for his leg. Boxer Michael Alexander then took the baton around Long Circular Road before handing it over. There were also a host of other locals who got the opportunity to run, walk and ride with the baton, which just added to the anticipation of the upcoming games, where Team TTO will be represented and has a rich history of success over the years. Over 50% of the 2 billion living in the Commonwealth are under 25, and is the target that TTOC President Brian Lewis said his organization focused on.
It was a deliberate attempt on our part, because if you don't know your history, you don't know where you come from, you can't build to go forward. And part of the challenge we face in the country is that the young people don't, that opportunity to interact and integrate, in this case with some of our Commonwealth sporting icons.
One special visitor that accompanied the baton to TNT is Senator Fortuna Belrose of St. Lucia, who said that the Commonwealth Games is the games that the younger athletes look forward to participating in.
We're hoping that this year we can have a significant number, increase in the number of athletes who are participating, in addition to the best quality athletes from our region going in and participating, and of course doing us proud as a region.
The baton relay is an integral part of the Commonwealth Games, as it's seen as a unifying factor for all member nations and to promote healthy competition.
And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
Grow your business or promote your event through the services offered by the Caribbean Media Corporation and Carib Vision. Our distribution provides a platform on cable, terrestrial television, and websites. We cover carnivals and events from across the region. We can bring your event live and alive to the world. For music makers, program producers, businesses, we can expand your reach to in excess of 2 million households daily. Our other services include news updates to enhance your media products, studio space for program and development. We can facilitate the launch of new products and services and training. Contact us and we will help you unleash your creative ability, develop products and services, and provide the medium to watch them grow. Contact Loretta Skeet at cmccaribbean.com or call her 1-246-467-1044 or 1-246-253-3889. Call and book your carnival or event today.
Welcome to Dominica, a true fantasy island. Whether you're in search of extreme adventure or a family vacation or a relaxing getaway, Dominica is fun for everyone. And a place where you can totally disconnect and enjoy paradise. Discover Dominica, the nature island.
Chatting CARICOM, a 4-part series on the status of the regional integration process. Your chance to get answers.
We as a small island, how do we factor into that bigger picture?
Why is the process taking so long?
While there is liberty to move among the islands, you still have some level of restriction.
Chatting CARICOM also gives you updates on recent CARICOM projects.
We're seeking more and more to engage all our partners in moving forward for the development of our region.
We have come a very long way since we started.
Join the Caribbean community and Carib Vision for Chatting CARICOM, a community for all. May 31st at 8 p.m.
Again, the major development of this day, cabinet assignments being discussed in the Cayman Islands among members of a coalition government drawn from 2 political parties and independent candidates. That's Caribbean Newsline. Have yourselves a good night.